So, just to quickly say, in the last couple of episodes, I messed up what number we were on. I went 2 ahead. I said something at the beginning of the last episode, but for the one before that, I didn't think to record a thing of me saying I got the number wrong, so I just tried to cut it out, and it's a really bad cut. So the last 2 episodes, which originally were recorded as 37, 38, were 35 and 36. It's not that funny.
It kind of is.
I just got the numbers wrong.
It's just the fact that I've just heard that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
We was living ahead of time, didn't even know it. Crazy.
It's a wonderful waste of time. It's a wonderful waste of time. It's a wonderful waste of time. It's a wonderful waste of time.
Hello and welcome to the actual 37th ever A Wonderful Waste of Time podcast.
Actual.
The actual one. Well, nobody's actually heard me say it for the other one because, like I say, I cut it out really poorly, but whatever.
Do you know what's really interesting about 37?
Yep, go for it.
It's the second time you said it.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Yeah, that was good. That was so good.
I'm Cross Trayline, and with me as always is...
SG.
Standard.
I was dropping a G.
Geometry.
SG.
Standard geometry.
Standard geometry. That's a good one.
I'm not doing any of this complicated geometry.
That's
with
standard.
your weird shapes.
Yeah,
I stick to basic shapes.
I like that, actually. I like
Squares,
that. Standard geometry.
circles.
Standard geometry.
That's it. No more. Not even a triangle. Fuck that. Actually, a circle's probably more of a complicated shape than a triangle.
Standard geometry shaped like a god. Jesus, that's great.
Shapely god. Like a sexual curvy god. That wouldn't be standard geometry.
That would be standard for
That'd
me.
be great geometry.
Godlike. Yes. 37.
Superb geometry. So this is the podcast where we look deeper into the things we like, love and hate. And this is the version of the podcast where we talk about 2 different topics by the spin of a wheel, sir.
Spin of a wheel.
So do you want me to spin the first wheel?
Yes.
And you can make the noises of a curvy god.
Whoa.
Or something to do with shapes. I don't know. See how you feel. I'll let you decide for once. Go.
Triangle.
Just name some shapes. Yeah, just keep naming shapes.
Octagon.
Because you're going to run out.
You think?
Yeah, you are.
Octagon. Hexagon.
Stop. I'll give you a breather. It's me.
Yay.
And then the topics. Go. More shapes.
So did I say? I said triangle. Can I say?
Yeah, you've already. Don't say the same one twice. No.
I can't say sausage.
No.
Oh, it has to be different.
No, yeah, different shapes, please.
Okay, cool.
Always looking for standard geometry.
Okay, circles. I've said hexagon, rectangle.
Can't just rename the same one.
Yeah, I'm
You failed.
I was going through a few, man. Octagon. And,
no, I definitely won't run out. So I've said this.
Star.
Said this.
A star is a shape. A star is a shape.
A star is, in fact, a shape.
Yes.
I will agree on that.
Cool, right. Could I have done 3D shapes? I could have done a cube and a sphere.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would have accepted 3D shapes.
Man. You see, now you tell me.
Now I'll
you
tell you.
tell
I would
me.
have accepted 4th dimensional shapes if you
What's
could
the
have
fourth
invented one.
Oh, what's the 4th dimension?
There are none.
Oh, there are none.
Well, they're a theoretical one.
They're theoretical.
Theoretically, there are 13 dimensional shapes, I believe.
Okay.
There are 10, 11, or 26, depending who you ask. No
That's
more.
it, no
we
more.
can't.
No,
we
of
can't
course.
perceive or understand them. They just get drawn as a weird squiggle.
Oh,
But supposedly,
they're shapes.
They exist as a concept.
That's so much ball.
Which is stupid. It
That's
makes no
so
sense
much
to me.
ball. It's literally.
I can understand how 4th dimensional we can maybe have a stab at, but I don't see how you could go further than that. I remember a maths teacher talking to me about it, so that's why I feel like it's an actual thing. And he was a good maths teacher, so I have faith in him.
But what it says doesn't add up.
That would have been funny if it was a thing about shapes and not just...
Well, not just simple maths. Sorry.
Not just simple maths. No.
Sorry. Well,
I'm torn.
Yeah.
Anything. I've got so much
did
to
you get
choose
anything?
between. Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm not sure whether to go
Like open
TV,
platform.
cartoons or films?
What's the last one you watched?
The previous one I've had experience with.
Last one you watched? No, just in general.
Oh, no, just talk about whatever the last thing I
No.
watched
As in, did you watch a film last? Did you watch a TV show last? Or was it?
I probably played a game. Well, I watched
played a game.
TV technically this morning.
Oh,
because it was just on. I didn't really watch it.
TV. There you go.
But I played a game last night. Now let's talk about... I want to talk about the film, I think.
There we go. And we switched.
So I want to talk about a film called... I don't know if you've seen it, but I want to talk about a film called Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
No, yes.
You may have heard of it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's really clever. That's why I want to talk about it. Obviously.
Yes.
This is a praising. This isn't a hateful one.
No.
This isn't your Watch Dogs 2 rant or your Transformers.
I don't rant.
You ranted about the second one. I ranted about the first one.
It's not about ranting though.
It was very much a rant. Your one especially.
You especially. Like what?
Yours was just. I slightly praised Watch Dogs 2 as well. There was only one thing I had a problem with.
Have I played the second Watch Dogs?
I don't know.
No,
I'm not you. I can't decide
you.
for you. So the reason I want to talk about this is because it is a parody. And I think it's one of the best done parodies. I think it's really clever the way it's done. There are quite a lot of good parodies.
When you say parody, though, is it like, like when the scary movies came out and then they've done that mash-up films?
No, because that is a parody.
Yeah.
But that's just a straight-up comedy where it doesn't really play by the rules. The reason why I think Tucker and Dale vs. Evil is a clever parody is because it is also a horror film as well as a parody of horror films. Much like Have you seen Cabin in the Woods? That's another good horror parody.
No,
so it's the reason I think parodies work better when they understand themselves well enough to make fun of that and not just make jokes within the genre. Something like Scary Movie is just jokes and it's got a horror theme running throughout it. Something like this clearly really understands horror films well enough to dip into what's funny about them when you break them down.
Cool.
Same thing with Cabin in the Woods. Same thing with Super, I think does the same thing. I know you like Super.
I like Super.
That's obviously a superhero parody. And I think it does quite well in things like him not having superpowers. He just hits people with a wrench and basically bludgeons them and stuff like that. But so some of the stuff with Tucker and Dale, but obviously because it's based on like slasher films. Cool. So I'll explain the concept of the film first. So it's set up like a slasher film where a group of kids go to the woods to stay in a cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
And then they see these two guys who are like rednecky blokes. Is that the acceptable term? I'm trying not to say hillbilly because I know that's offensive.
Country folk.
Yeah, but the certain type that I'm trying to... It's not just country folk. Country folk can mean anything. I mean they're like... rather cliched, very country-seeming people. They're all like in like rip-sleeve plaid shirts and trucker hats, chewing tobacco and stuff like that. And they've got a big dog who's called Jangers, who's awesome. Jangers the dog, yeah. And so they see these two guys and they assume that they're bad guys. But you see their side of the story as well, and they're just two guys who are also staying in a cabin in the woods. They've just gone for a little fishing trip.
Oh, yeah.
They're just having a little time. They go out by the river and they just want to go fishing. That's all they're there for. But all the kids are so introverted in what they're doing. Yeah. They go to the lake where they're fishing and they're skinny dipping. And then they think that Tucker and Dale are perving on them because they're just fishing nearby, and because they're these rednecky people, they assume that they're up to something. And one of them starts saying all of these rumours about murderers in the forest and stuff like that, so people get overly hyped up about it.
Oh, one of the kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the girls, she slips on a rock, I think, when she's jumping in. And she knocks herself out. Yeah. So they come to help her. Yeah. So they come over and try and get her out of the water so she doesn't drown. But the rest of them think that they're trying to kidnap her. So they're all like, oh, they're taking... I can't remember what her name is. They're taking her. And then they all start running away. But they get her out of the water, bring her back to their cabin and nurse her back to health. Because they're just two nice guys on a fishing trip. but they've made the assumption that they're evil based on how they look and stuff like that, which is clever in so many ways, just as like a commentary, obviously.
Being stereotyped, who would
But
have thought
exactly,
it, man?
who
It
would have
happens
thought?
to white
But
people.
in a film that is... But in a film genre that is based on essentially stereotyping things, because that's how horror works. It's got a very set rules for how things work, like the sex equals death thing.
Yeah, I was literally about to say
stuff
that
like
as well.
that.
Yeah, the
so there is
slot
kind of an
balls,
element to that of it, but it works the wrong way round. So most of the film is all these kids that have gone out to the cabin trying to save the girl that doesn't need to be saved because she obviously finds out straight away that they're really nice guys, and one of them brings her sandwiches and stuff like that.
She's
really
chilling.
nice. So what? And I think I can't remember which way. It's Dale. I'm sure it's Dale. Dale's the guy that was in Reaper.
That's such a typical name.
So it's let me look it up so I can get the actor's
name.
Is
he one of the country folk?
Yes. Tucker and Dale are the country folk. It says Alan Tudyk is Tucker. Tyler Bean. Alan Tudyk, the guy that's in. Yes, I know his name sounds funny. The guy who does shitloads of voice acting. He's an amazing voice actor. He was in Firefly and stuff like that. You'd recognise him if I showed you a picture of him.
Penises do you think he has?
I believe he has 6. And Tyler Levine's Dale. Alison, that's the girl's name, who they think gets kidnapped.
Hold up. His name's what?
Tudyk. It's Tudyk.
Tudyk. Tudyk.
Tudyk. Yeah.
Cool. I just had to.
You're really into ripping on people's names.
How could you get 2-pack?
Me. Two-pack.
Two-pack.
It's not a nickname, I don't think.
No, 2-pack's his name. But it's T-U. T-U-P-A-C-K.
Yeah, but I meant it's not like the number 2.
Yeah.
Dick.
Anyway.
Tyler Levine as Dale. And he has sort of a crush on the girl that they've saved and stuff like that. So he's really nice to her. He's trying to look after her and stuff like that. Yeah. And introduces him to his dog Jangers and things like that. So the other kids try and save the girl. Yeah. But then in trying to, so this is where the spoilers come in. This is where you should watch the film before listening to this. So they try and save the girl, but in trying to save her, keep accidentally getting themselves killed. So one of them, at first I think they go to their cabin and try and get in. One of them bursts in through the door and they're trying to fix up the cabin while they're, as well as fishing, because there's bits of it that are broken and stuff. But they step on a board that is part of what they're fixing, and one of the beams from the ceiling falls off and the nails smash into their face and cut them up. So like, they've not done anything, and straight away they're both like, oh shit, no, don't do that. Like, you're going to get hurt. And then they're trying to help him, but then they start freaking out, and all these kids are so scared that they start freaking out about it. And as the film goes on, they keep getting themselves hurt in trying to form an attack plan to kill these 2 rednecky guys.
Wow.
So, just major spoilers for one of the funniest bits of the film. There's a bit where all the kids are trying to rush the cabin. They like planning to go in on the attack, and one of them's got like a sharpened stick and stuff like that.
A sharpened stick.
He falls into a pit, lands on his own stick, and impales himself. One of them trips into a woodcutter and like gets like chipped up and stuff like that. So they all have like quite gruesome deaths as well.
Is it like, because it sounds a bit silly, you know what I mean? No,
it is a little bit silly in the deaths. It's a comedy film. It's a parody. It has all the atmosphere right up until all of the shit goes wrong, and then it's like silly. It's kind of like Final Destination, you know, where like how they die is like kind of stupid. And obviously, it's supposed to be serious in that, whereas it's not in this. It's kind of like so many incidental things happening is quite silly in Final Destination, whereas in this it's like one incidental thing happens, like they just trip over at the wrong time and stuff like that, or they accidentally run into the wrong thing.
What's it called again?
The film Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Oh right, so Tucker and Dale are the
Tucker and Dale are the 2 guys that they think are evil.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
But then the film completely flips around, where you find out that sort of the leader of the kids that came to the cabins, he's evil. basically.
Of course.
That's why it's called Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Of course.
So
he's the evil one.
all the rumours that they'd been talking about there being this like weird family that lived out there and somebody getting burnt and stuff like that.
Shit.
He's the son of that family.
Oh shit.
So
he's been burning people.
No, he's not been burning people. But he tries to get the girl back as well because he fancies the girl as well that got kidnapped.
So he can burn her.
But then, no, not so that he can burn her. He does tie her up and put her on a sawmill though, like he's going to cut her in half.
Yeah, so he's a magician.
He's like, he's like a really fucked up, not a magician. You could say that. No.
So he's essentially really fucked up.
Yeah, he's really fucked up. And he basically is saying, like, why doesn't she want to be with him? And that basically he's going to kill her if she doesn't, like, step away from Tucker and Dale and be with him, even though all of their friends have just died.
So that's what real love is.
That's what real love is.
Real love is, yeah.
It's sexual enslavement.
It's I will cut you in half because you have broke my heart into.
Yeah.
You know?
If my heart's cut into, your entire being will be cut into.
I'll make you feel what I have felt inside.
Yeah. I'm going to externalise these feelings.
Batshit crazy.
So the end of it is Tucker and Dale going to try and stop this kid.
Yeah.
Essentially. So it flips itself around where they seem like the bad guys at the beginning, but they're actually the good guys that are saving her at the end from one of the kids that was supposed to be part of the team of good kids. Which I think is really clever. As a parody in general, it's really well to go to both sides of it, and it's a really good setup.
Do you think he killed those kids and made it look like
No, because they all like trip.
Literally.
They're all just like fuck ups. It's literally like
if you look
one
back,
of them falls in a pit that they were digging as like a latrine pit.
Yeah.
One of them trips
Like
into that. What? Team Rocket.
They always had pits.
Like a latrine pit is like somewhere to put your shit.
As in
it's like an outhouse pit that they were digging.
Cool.
They trip into that, the one with the stick, and he drops his stick in front of him, then lands on his own stick. The other one just trips into.
If you play it back, you'll see the guy's foot.
The guy trips them all.
His
He's
foot
secretly
is
picking them all up.
His foot is somewhere in the scenes.
Yeah, but I think it's clever the way that it parodies it.
That's pretty interesting.
In that, so there's obviously the whole sex equals death thing.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, she won't have sex with him, so he's trying to kill her, which is both a good social commentary and a good flip on how the film works.
Yeah,
there's a lot of like horror rules that it clearly understands, and then it breaks. It makes Tucker and Dale seem like the bad guys. In what horror film do you get the bad guy's perspective? In what slasher film?
Yeah,
like none of them. You never actually see what they're doing because they've got to be mysterious and stuff like that. Whereas if you knew more about them, you would maybe not necessarily sympathise with them. Obviously, most of them, the point of them is that they're actual serial killers and stuff like that. It's just not in this context. But you'd find them less threatening if you knew more about them.
Yeah.
Like, if you knew that Jason wasn't Jason, you knew the whole story about him, then if you knew that earlier on in the film, then he'd be less threatening because you'd be like, well, it's obvious what they're supposed to do. So I think it's clever in the way that it works like that it's breaking all of those kind of rules. And it does the same thing with Cabin in the Woods, I think is really clever. So Cabin in the Woods isn't like this kind of parody. It's more like a spin on the genre, which is a different thing from parody in my eyes. So the way that Cabin in the Woods works is these group of kids go to a cabin in the woods.
Yeah, cool.
There's a hatch in the floor that opens up, and they go down into the hatch, and there's all these different things, and they're all obviously supposed to be references to different horror films. There's a lot of different things.
Okay.
And obviously they're all the archetypal characters as well, like Chris Hemsworth's in it. I think it was Chris Hemsworth. It was kind of before he got really famous.
Yeah.
He's like the big strong guy who's got the girlfriend and whatever.
There's like
right? A stone, and there's like a stoner guy as well, and then there's the pretty bitchy girl, and then the sort of slightly nerdy girl who's still friends with him, even though it seems like she wouldn't be in reality. There's all the archetypal characters.
Yeah.
So they go into this thing in the basement, and one of them touches one thing, and it opens up, and it's like a little spooky bit. And then they all leave, and zombies show up. and it's because of the thing that they touched. So there's all these different things, but because of the one that they touched, that sets it off. And then it shows you that there's like this force field around the cabin in the woods.
Okay.
Like a bird flies into it or something from memory.
Yeah.
And it's all a setup. So the point of the film is that it's not just happenstance. So then it shows you this completely different bit where there's all the like these lab technicians and stuff like that sitting around, and one of them goes and sits down at like a console, and they've got CCTV set up in the forest, and they're watching all the kids.
Okay.
And the actual plot of the film, again, spoilers, obviously I've spoiled a little bit. You shouldn't be listening to any of this. if you're worried about things getting spoiled, you'll still enjoy both of these films, even if you know what's happening anyway. The point of the film is that they're sacrificing kids to the old gods. So they send a group of kids there at once every like 5-10 years, whatever it is. They go into the basement. Depending on which thing they touch, that's what monsters they release. And then when they get killed, it sacrifices them to the old god. So when one of them dies, there's a thing of there's like this like stone, like Mayan style carving with like little chambers where the blood flows through it, and they have to give the blood to the gods to stop them from killing the earth. So they have to sacrifice kids to save everyone. It's for the greater good.
It's for the greater good.
Is what they believe. But then the kids manage to thwart off some of the creatures. Yeah. And even though they keep sending others, but then the kids manage to get into the lab to try and shut them down. Yeah, sure. And you find out that they've got also the entire room of stuff. They've got monsters for all of it. So the kids let loose all of the monsters. But there's like a guy with saws sticking out of his head that's supposed to be like Pinhead from Hellraiser. Yeah. There's all like references and stuff like that where it's kind of, it's like it's saying all of these films are canon to this film because all of this stuff was just people being sacrificed for the sake of giving blood to the old gods in this concept of the film. So it's funny. It's like it is a comedy. There are jokes in it, but it's not a parody. Not in the sense that Tucker and Dale versus Evil is. Not in the sense that it's making fun of the genre. It's more just saying, "What if this?" and then making jokes about it. What if all of this stupid stuff was for a reason? Which I think is also really interesting. Oh right, yeah. So it's not just mindless killing. Exactly, it's because you watch slasher films and they're so formulaic, and they're so silly most of the time. But then to say, what if there's a reason for it? Yeah, I think it's really clever. It's a really good film. I highly recommend both of those. Cool, sound interesting. Definitely worth watching. But yeah, your thoughts? Because I've just had like a long. No, it was a lot. That was a lot to take in, man. They both sound interesting. I like anything that kind of flips on what I don't know, like parodies. You say parody, I get really bad. Like yeah, but it depends what the kind of parody is. Yeah, it goes. Because parody can be really well done. Something like you can't. Don't assume that I mean like. No, it's just scary movie. No, not even scary movies. Actually, I don't. Yeah, I like some of the scary movies, but they're like silly parodies. It's more, like the parodies where it's literally they'll put like a very obvious character on top of something and just make it really silly. Yeah. I'm trying to think of like names, like really goofy ones. Yeah, like extreme overly dumb parodies. There are a lot of really poorly done parodies. Yeah, and there's no stuff like Austin Powers is a parody. It's a parody of James Bond films. Yeah, but that's a joke really well done. Exactly. Yeah, it's a really well done. Okay, so I guess in that so parody can mean that it's a wide scope of things. It is a wide scope, I guess. It just depends how well it's done, like everything else. I think it's more the mainstream parodies have been a little bit meh, but obviously, I'm trying to think of like really specific ones. It's the ones where they bunch about 3 or 4 films into one thing, and it's just so. Oh yeah, but it is like Scary Movie. You mean like Dance Flick and stuff like that? Yeah, where because that's like Hitch. And a couple of different dance films together, and then and there was that superhero one as well. Yeah. Where it was like Spider-Man was like the main thing, but then there was bits of other stuff as well. Yeah, those kind of parodies, that essentially stems from Scary Movie. Yeah, it does, I think a lot of some of it is still the Wayans as well. Yeah, I know. Which is like such a crying shame for like some of the Wayans are fucking genius and hilarious, but some of their work is
It is
not
trash.
great.
No, it is.
Can't
is
judge the
very,
whole
like,
family by that.
It
though.
is very like poop.
Especially, who's the one that was on New Girl?
New Girl.
He was in New Girl. He was in Happy Endings. I think is it Damien Jr. Can't remember. He's been in a couple of films and he's routinely Damon Wayans Jr. He's fucking great in everything.
Yeah,
it's like
taller one, skinny face.
I'll show you a picture of him.
Yeah.
So it's isn't it Marlon and I can't remember the names, but there is like a couple of them that do those like parody films. Yeah. And some of them were really good at first, but now it feels like you don't know if it's just like the thing of that's what they keep getting offered to make more of because they think
true,
because that's what producers think they're going to make money out of, and they keep saying make more scary movie stuff, and they're like, well, we've done 4 of them, we don't want to make any more, so they went into a different genre. Yeah. Which is understandable.
It didn't even start with good scary movie. I think it started with when they done
Don't Be a Menace in South Central. Yeah, I would say that was their first parody.
Yeah, exactly that.
That's really good.
Yeah, so it's well done parody. Actually, that's a really good point. To be fair, then when you say parody, it depends what quality and what they've put into it. I guess in that sense, it sounds obviously the ones you've mentioned sounds like they've put. It hasn't just been blatant.
You need to be understanding it, not just going, wouldn't this be silly? Yeah. Or what if we just take the stories of other things, smush them together, and then have people fall over every now and then? Basically. Which is kind of what... I remember that's what the superhero one is. Yeah. It's just like he tries to do heroic things and he fucks up and falls over. And it's just like, that's not funny. It needs to be clever as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it sounds like with these ones, for it to be funny. There's more of a referencing point. It's less kind of obvious in your face slapstick. You can tell whoever wrote it understood the genre and broke it down. Which is good. Which is what you want, really. Especially for horror. You want people to understand and think about things rather than to just go, here's the thing. Exactly. Especially for horror, because I think horror is really hard to get right. To make a really good horror film. That's one of the other things that I've got written down in my notes as well. I've just written, old horror is now comedy, which I think is really true. I think old horror films, apart from the fact that because they're dated, they can be quite funny. If you make a film like an old horror film now, it's just stupid. Yeah. Because it's too overplayed, everyone understands it, so it's not scary. It's just like, well, that's going to happen. And then it just becomes silly. So it's automatically a parody. So you might as well be taking the piss out of it, because if you just do it like that, everyone is going to think it's silly anyway and they're going to laugh at it. They're not going to be scared of it. Actually, That's why you've got films now that do it slightly differently and they have to play on... Horror, like you say, horror is a hard subject to get right, really, because you need to play on what people are scared of at the time. It's like most films are very go through phases of a certain thing because that's what people are interested in. That's what is applicable to what's happening in the world. That's like they always say that during the Second World War there were a lot more comedy films because people wanted relief from that kind of stuff. And I think you can notice it in films in general that you go through a phase of a similar theme and stuff like that. Yeah. But I think especially with horror, you've got to play on what people are scared of. And you notice a couple of years ago there were a lot of ghost-based films. I'm not entirely sure why that is. I haven't really thought about it too much. But there was Paranormal Activity. Yeah. There was, what was the one that was supposed to be really good that wasn't Paranormal Activity? It was a 70s set. I can't remember what it was. But there was something like that was all this stuff that did really well. And then of recent times it's more like the Babadook and stuff like that. I don't watch that many horror films because, like I say, I find them quite formulaic and boring when they're wrong. But I always am interested to see some of the better ones, and I like them more when they're psychological, right? Where it's more of a conceptual thing. But then I think it gets into more the thriller realm. I prefer thrillers. I prefer thrillers because they give more of that kind of. But that's different because a thriller's not horror. You can still do a horror film where it's clever without it being... A thriller is just more like an action film where they don't always do action. It's got more tension in it than... No, that's what a thriller is. Yeah. A thriller is... A thriller is like an action horror film. That is where it comes from. Yeah. But something like we've talked about before, and I want to talk about it in more detail at some point, Funny Games. That's a horror film, and that's really cleverly done. That's not a thriller just because there's not monsters and shit. Just because it's very real world of two mental people attacking someone. That's still a horror film.
Okay.
But I prefer stuff like that and like... sorry?
I actually saw that more as a thriller.
It's not a thriller at all. That's a horror film.
Cool.
The way that it's shot is like a horror film as well. When you look into things like that, it's made as a horror film.
I mean, it was quite violent for like, as in physical.
But everything that
violence
happens in it is like a horror film. But I think that, like you say, I think that things that don't have some supernatural element often get labelled as being a thriller rather than a horror, and I don't think they're any less of a horror just because of that.
Yeah.
And like my other favourite horror film, because I only really, like I say, I only like a couple. It's Funny Games and The Descent. Have you ever seen that?
The Descent.
The Descent's about a group of women that go spelunking. So they're like cave explorers and stuff like that.
No, I haven't seen it.
And then there's all these like creatures that are like vampiric, weird, blind things in the dark. But it's more about confusion.
Okay.
That's why it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because they're in the dark in these chambers and there's these weird things happening. It's more about how confusing it is to try and run away from that in an unknown environment rather than it being like, we're in a house and something showed up. Like, that's silly.
Yeah,
whereas something like that is so different and it's really interesting to watch. And there's a whole like transformative thing in that that's really interesting as well.
Someone mentioned that film the other day.
It's good.
I haven't seen it though.
It's worth watching as well.
Is it quite old?
It's fairly old now.
Yeah, cool.
That one. It's not new. I can tell you that. It came out 2005.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
But that's really, really good as well. But that's like a horror film. Yeah. So I think you have to have some element of parody in doing that kind of film now because it's automatically funny. And even in Funny Games. Funny Games is, in a way, a sort of a parody. To have two like regular people doing all the monstering is kind of parodying the genre in a way. Because it's so real and cutting through all of the bullshit of having a monster do it or having someone in a mask do it.
Yeah,
it's very aware of the genre. They could have easily shown up in masks and stuff like that and attacked them. There was a film a couple of years ago where it was like about a family and then a load of people in masks just showed up and tried to fuck with them. I can't remember what the film was. Was it? No, The Purge. So that kind of thing's silly to me as well. I think it's just really very stupid. But to just have two normal people who are just fucked up and they just show up and they're like not trying to hide their identity. There's no like secret. It is just these are two people that want to fucking ruin your life for fun.
The characters were a little bit. I think the characters were the costume. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
they were quite extreme characters. In a sense. So.
That's what I mean. So that's it's kind of playing on the genre to take the basic stuff and then change it a little bit. Yeah. I'm not saying it's like Tucker and Dale. I mean it's more like Cabin in the Woods. It's more understanding a genre, and then changing something to break the genre. This is like when I talked about Rubber. Rubber is that. Rubber is taking, what if it was like a really basic thing? What if it was a tyre that killed people? What's the dumbest thing we can think of? And then making it clever. It's taking, what if some bloke in a mask went and killed people? And then what if we made a different film where some different guy in a mask went and killed people? And then we made several other films. What if Jason, Scream, Texas Chainsaw Massacre... What if that's all the same film with very slight differences?
It is essentially, yeah.
So something like Rubber is going, what if it was just a tyre and it just used telekinetic powers to blow up people's heads?
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I thought it just ran them over.
No.
It blew up their heads?
No, it just like killed people.
Whoa.
I don't know if it necessarily blew up people's heads. I think it did at one point, but it just killed them.
Whoa.
It just like looked at them and then got all intense and shook a little bit and then they'd die. Did I forget to say that?
Yeah.
That's kind of a good detail.
Yeah, wow. You just said it like, hit them and shit. And
no, that's how it learned. I was trying to explain how it became a killer.
Oh, what?
So that's how it actually killed things.
Shit.
Yeah. So I think But that's something that should get applied to a lot of other things. And I think it has been, and that's how you make really great films.
Yeah.
Stuff like, talking about action, not necessarily thriller. I haven't seen John Wick, but I know how it's put together, and I really want to watch it.
Not 1 or 2?
No, I bought them to watch since I watched the film Atomic Blonde, which is really similar.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that.
And that works as a genre thing because it is all the normal stuff.
Atomic
Blonde is like a spy film.
Yeah.
It's none of the spy stuff. It is just she goes and does some slick shit. Everyone's lying to each other, and when they fight, it's fucking brutal. Which is why John Wick's supposed to be really good. Which is why I want to watch it, because I didn't really understand why everyone was going on about John Wick, and then I watched some more in-depth trailers about it, and the fact that it's brutal is why it's good. Yeah. So it is taking films like James Bond and spy stuff like that, where people get shot and they walk away, and it's having people break each other's arms and have to deal with having broken arms, and they don't just get like beaten up and they go, they dust themselves off and then they go back to being all slick. They're hurt. That's why it's so good.
Yeah,
that's what's good about Atomic Blonde as well.
Cool.
It's the same thing where she gets fucked up while she's fighting people, and everyone else gets really brutally hurt.
Cool.
That's why it's good, and I think that should apply to all genres. I think if you're going to make a film, think about doing it slightly differently.
Yeah.
And not having just using the same cliches to make things easier. Like, I don't see the point in making any more horror films where it's some guy in a mask shows up and threatens to kill people, and they're sinister, and they leave you messages and stuff like that. We don't need to see any more action films where people just blow stuff up and walk away. Like, Die Hard has lost its impact when it's gone on longer. Things like the Expendables only have impact in the fact that it's got so many people in it that people like.
Yeah.
The actual action and stuff like that isn't interesting because it's so overdone. It's boring.
Have you seen Red?
I have seen Red. That's quite good.
Yeah,
I like that.
It's quite.
That's interesting because it's older people doing it. As
well. Yeah. Actually,
that's parody essentially.
That is a little bit of a parody. Actually,
But I want to see more of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This is the kind of thing that people should be making. It should be. They should put more thought into making it.
I did want to talk about that with more action films, actually.
Yeah.
But, we'll get that one.
Well, maybe we can at some point.
Yeah, we'll get that one down.
That's it for the first half of this episode. We'll be back in just a second. We'll be spinning the wheel again to find out whose turn it is.
Yeah, buddy.
It's a wonderful waste of time.
And welcome back. Right, are you ready for me to spin the wheel again?
As long as I don't have to do shapes again.
You don't have to do shapes. Just give me some horror sort of ambience. Like backgroundy music from horror film.
Okay.
Just give me something intense.
Cool.
Go.
This is the silence before.
Yeah, we don't need too much of the silence.
Alright. Someone's just stepping on a tree.
Oh no.
On a branch.
Well, they're in the fucking rainforest.
Yeah.
Is that a monkey whooping?
This is a really vast forest they're in, and like
I was expecting more creepy and less
okay, all right, go on.
This is like sleep sounds. So.
That's like
stop.
Yeah.
It's you. Cool. Let's spin the second one. Now go to the intense bit where the murderer is about to show up. And when I say stop, that's when they've actually arrived, yeah?
This is so am I doing the music or the noises?
Music.
This
a bit both. Yeah, a bit both. Oh, it's getting closer. They're getting closer. They're nearby. Jump scare!
Do not get it. You see, it's like this guy taking the time,
I said they were there, and then you carried on a bit. I said they're there, and then you went. They'd arrived. It was just like someone really slow.
I was be waiting for them. They're there. Alright.
You've got games.
Games.
What have you for games?
What have you? So for games, I actually have to look at my notes for this one because
go for it.
So I've already talked about Zelda, haven't I?
No. It was something else. You were talking about just like having open worldy stuff in games.
Yeah, which I really enjoyed.
I don't remember if it was down as. I don't think it was even listed as Zelda. So if you want to talk about Zelda, talk about Zelda.
No, I don't want to talk. I want to complain.
Oh, what do you want to complain about Zelda for?
No, I'm not complaining about Zelda.
Oh, good. Have you seen the new Zelda? It's fucking beautiful.
I want to complain about, and this is bringing down something that we all play.
It's okay because you don't do rants, so this will be fine.
So it's not going to be a rant. It's going to be a suggestive...
A complaint.
No, it's going to be a suggestive...
That's the point of the show. You're going to say what you should learn from. And mistakes are a good thing to learn from.
Exactly.
I talked about what you should try and do. You're going to talk about what not to do.
What not to do? Okay, well, here's...
I talked a bit about what not to do as well.
Do you play games on your phone?
Yes.
What games do you play?
I tend to play like one game at a time.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So, not a lot, really.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm not like... It is just something to do when I'm waiting for stuff and I've got nothing else. So I can remember about 4 games that I've played on my phone, like actively played over and over again. And not just played for a little bit and stopped. And 3 of them are franchised. And it's kind of because of that I played them.
What games are those?
So the first one I played that's not franchised is like a cat. I've told you about this before. Where it's cats that you've got to try and feed them ice cream and you have to turn the pipes so that you get the different flavours to the cat that likes that ice cream.
That's cool.
Obviously.
Yes.
Then there's like a Futurama game.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. I'm trying to find it.
And you got to build the city. And...
No, yeah, so that's like the third one that I got super into. I've stopped playing that now.
Oh, okay.
And that's Days of Tomorrow, I think it's called.
Oh, okay.
Where, you got to build a city. It's like The Simpsons Tapped Out, but Futurama. I did play that as well, actually, so 5 of them. I did play Simpsons Tapped Out as well.
Cool.
The other Futurama game is like a puzzle game where it's like a colour matching game.
Oh, okay.
I like that kind of thing. It's just something to pass the time. And the one I'm playing at the moment is South Park Phone Destroyer.
What do you do in that one?
So it's like cards pop up. I'm actually thinking of more games that I play now as well.
Yeah.
Cards that pop up at the bottom and you have like an energy limit and you have to play the cards and it's like an attack thing.
Okay.
So it's like an automated attack thing. The other one, by the way, was an Adventure Time game where it was like it was another colour matching game, but it was like an RPG colour matching game. So they fight when you get colours matched. So like he only attacks when you match the colours up.
Okay, and do you move about or is it?
Yeah, he just walks along. It's just automated walking.
I know. Okay, cool. Right, the last 2 games are along the lines of things I wanted.
Which one? The South Park one.
The South Park one, where it's just cards, where you just basically click cards, they attack. And then I guess when the match is over, you go to the next person, click cards, attack.
Kind of.
Okay.
There's like an upgrade system.
There's always upgrade systems and weapons you can put.
Well, they've got to have something to go, well, you could pay for that.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's what phone games are.
Now, like phone games used to be like the first few you mentioned, which was very much just really interesting concepts where, you get to play about the dynamics of something that usually one on a big platform would seem a bit pointless because it's like you could do more with it, and 2 on where you can sit down and you're not actively on the go, you don't want to put too much energy into something. Yeah. So the first few games
they used to be like simpler indie games.
Yeah, exactly.
Even like Angry Birds was just like a pretty simple indie game, and then they started trying to charge you to play the same game 6 times.
Yeah. So essentially, what I want to complain about is how, in a way, lazy phone games have become. So now, the games that made me want to talk about this, and they're more franchise games. And these are, there's a Mortal Kombat game, there's a Star Wars game, and there's the Marvel Avengers games.
Oh, I remember seeing those. And they're like fighting games, aren't they? The Marvel ones?
Yeah, I mean, they are fighting games, but they're just tapping games. This is what they are. They're just tapping
they've all
games.
got to be simple to be on your phone.
They've got to be simple, but you can do like, swipe up for a different move, swipe to the side for a different move. There are ways to make it more interesting than tap and attack. Tap, 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 tap. Whoever taps the most or taps in the most, I don't know, the most fortunate sequence wins. That's all that is. Yeah. They're not interested. You don't get to explore. You don't get to do anything. All there is you're tapping.
Just load straight into you tapping at shit.
It's essentially, you're not even tapping at shit. You can tap anywhere on the screen. That's it. And then for one of them, if you tap with 2 fingers, you're blocking. Whoop the fucking do. Yeah. That's what you do. But if you see how these games are advertised, you'd think they were, action adventure games. Like you get to roam, you get to actually play with the characters that you. Because the only reason I'm playing these games is because these are franchises, these are things that I'm familiar with, so I'll be comfortable playing with these characters. I would,
you've automatically have an invested interest in it because of its other media.
Exactly, and the other media.
That's why I'm playing the Futurama fucking stuff. It's just because it's Futurama.
Essentially, but I mean, even that the colour matches, I like colour matches because I play Candy Crush, which is basically Bejeweled, and it's all the same thing. It is.
Sorry, can you get Bejeweled? Why don't they just release Bejeweled?
Oh, it's probably there. It's just the market is dying for them.
They should release like that, columns and clacks.
Fun though, Candy Crush.
But I just want some like Mega Drive games.
But that's the thing. But
I'm just saying, this is a joke. I don't see why they don't do that. That's a good idea on Sega's part.
They can do I haven't played any because Sega's got some games on the store. I haven't played them.
Maybe they have got them.
Yeah, I haven't played them yet. So I'm imagining the Sonic one would be a kind of a moving around game. Hopefully,
Sonic. Oh, yeah. I have Sonic CD on my phone. I've not actually played much of it. I think it is just straight up. It's just Sonic.
Yeah, and
there are some proper games on there. I was going to go into that afterwards, but
okay, cool. So I mean, but essentially, what really annoys me about this is one. There isn't much of an option with regards to what you get in these games. That there isn't kind of it's literally all tapping. It is all tap, 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 tap. You can pay to upgrade them. You can pay to make them more powerful. You can play online, but it's the same thing. Tap, tap, tap. Yeah. But there is no real challenge to it. Let's go back to Candy Crush and Bejeweled, alright? Yes, essentially it's just swipe, up, down, whatever, and you get that you match the colours, but there's a bit of tactic to it. There are times when you're playing these games where you actually got to figure out, okay, if I drop that side, these two will match up, I'm going to get this thing, which would then lead to something else happening. There's actually a progressive thing to that. There's a tactic to it. These have nothing. All they've done is literally, people like Star Wars, cool, let's put some Star Wars characters and it's the same tapping game. People like Mortal Kombat, same characters, tapping game. It's literally all three games are the same. As in literally the same. At least with Candy Crush, they have different things, combinations that 3 or 4 jewels will give you. If you match the jewels in different ways, you'll get different things. That's at least interesting. And all these colour matching things, they've got their own individual ways of doing that. Yeah. But it still feels a lot more different than just tapping.
Yeah, it does benefit from it being a naturally simple game, whereas something like the ones you're talking about tend to be trying to be overly visual, but the gameplay is severely lacking.
There's no
gameplay. I just want to quickly, before we go on, defend the South Park game, which is not like that. Okay. The South Park game is not literally just tapping cards. Yeah. So you have like a set of all the different characters and you unlock cards and stuff like that. And it is a game where it kind of wants you to be able to pay to win, essentially. Where you can buy better cards and things like that. But because it's like a battle, you drag out certain cards and it's about picking the right cards at the right time.
Okay, is it more
they all do different things
cards
and stuff like that. I don't know. I was never really into Yu-Gi-Oh that much.
Okay.
But it is just like they're all themed as different things because it's based on the console games, and the console games are amazing. It was one of the things I was thinking about talking about when I got anything. So they're all dressed as different things. So like you can get Cowboy Cartman or Robot Cartman and stuff like that, and you can only use one of them at a time because you can't have two Cartmans playing at the same time. But they do different things. So it's about picking the right one. They all have a different value of how much energy you need and stuff like that. Okay, genuinely, it's a decent game. It's like a game. I think it's pretty good. But the Futurama one that I played is literally just tapping things. Yeah. It is pointless. There's an element to it where it's like a fighting thing, but it's all mostly automated. So it's kind of pointless. It's just timing your tapping and stuff.
It is literally, exactly. And it's...
That is, it is lazy. It would have been more fun for it to have been that side of it, and now it would just be like an RPG.
And you know what? There's one game that gave me a little bit of... Well, why I think that these companies can do better is the fact that they've made a Spider-Man game that is it is fucking good. Like,
I did used to play a Spider-Man game as well. I'm thinking I played more app games than I
you
think.
probably did.
It was like a parkour game where you swung around and you had to duck under things and stuff like that.
Cool.
You unlock different Spider-Mans.
Yeah. Like, so they had one where you was essentially playing a Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Like, where, you know, you get to explore, you get to actually get involved in fighting, and it's done through combinations of how you swipe and whatnot.
Yeah.
Really good, intricate game.
Mm.
You got to play with the character. You got to explore the landscape.
Yeah.
And it wasn't... In fact, that was sold with less visual, like, action than these fucking tapping games. Imagine.
But it's more interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. Imagine that. So, if they can do that for Spider-Man, which, yes, it's, I guess, a little... Well, I wouldn't even say it's more long-lasting, but it's got... I feel it's got less of at the moment got less of a franchise than Marvel, than Avengers.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Like, so you can put, if you can put that much money into a Spider-Man game, you should be able to put that a little bit more into a game that the franchise is more successful at the moment. You know what I mean? Like, and these are made by, you know, official. It's not like someone's just gone out of their way to make a fucking...
Yeah, it tends to be they get the big company, Marvel or whoever, hires a small company to make an app game.
Yeah. So if you can hire someone to do something like that for Spider-Man, you've got the money and you've got the buzz to do that for Avengers. Mortal Kombat maybe not, but it's Mortal Kombat and all you're doing is tapping.
Yeah, it would
Where
be
the
easy
combos
just
at?
to put the original Mortal Kombat
It would-
onto a phone.
Exactly.
Which they have done with quite a few things. I think part of the problem is obviously because it's to make money and stuff like that.
It's a very lazy
a lot
ploy.
of them do clones of other popular games.
Yeah.
Put them out for free and then make it so you can pay to win the game. So like the Spider-Man game I was talking about was an infinite runner.
Okay.
So I think it came out after like was it called Temple Run?
Temple Run, yeah.
So it came out. It's like Temple Run is running towards a screen, isn't it? It's like Temple Run is just a rip-off of Crash Bandicoot. It's just that level in Crash Bandicoot where you have to jump onto stuff. Which has probably been done in stuff before Crash Bandicoot as well. Much like Candy Crush is a rip-off of someone else who made a game who was making a version of Bejeweled, like we were saying. So that Spider-Man game is like a rip-off of that, where you're running away from the screen and you have to jump over stuff, dodge things, get things like that. It kind of looks a bit like a Sonic the Hedgehog 3D game.
Yeah.
See, it is just ripping that off and then charging you to unlock different Spider-Men and to be able to play quicker and stuff like that. Whereas there are games where you just pay for them outright and they're better. Like that Sonic game that I was talking about. I know you can get Final Fantasy on your phone and you just pay for it. There's some platformers like
Final Fantasies on your phone. Some
there's
of them
like
are,
you can get 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think
as in
like the old
originals.
ones.
Okay,
and I think it's just straight up the game.
Yeah. So
but you just pay for it in advance. There's no microtransactions or anything like that, which is why it's probably an actual game. And there's a great game called VVVVV that's a platformer that's about gravity and physics and stuff like that. That's really difficult. You can get that on your phone, but you just pay for it.
Yeah.
Most of the ones where you just pay for it outright tend to be actual games made by indie companies.
But even that, so I think there's actually a few games, probably even 3 games, actually a few free games that I've played that are made by independent companies. They haven't got any big kind of characters in there, and they're just been really good games, really good shoot 'em ups where you can move around, you can aim, you can shoot.
A lot of the time, the good ones are like indie game companies who aren't making them for phones. That's why they're good. Yeah, because all the ones I said about are all stuff that's on other consoles.
Oh,
like VVVV, you can play on your laptop. You can get it on. I think it was on PlayStation at one point.
Cool.
So it was super cheap, but you could. It was an actual full game. Sonic and Final Fantasy obviously have been on consoles. I think there is a thing with app games where the expectation is that you make money through the microtransactions, not through selling the game, because people will download a free game rather than risk paying £4 for a game that might be shit.
Yeah, fair. Well,
I'm agreeing with you. I'm not saying against what you're saying. I completely
that's
agree
the
with
reasoning
you.
for it. But I just feel like when it's for indie companies, I feel like that's fair. You know what I mean? Like you've got to make money somehow, and you haven't got that massive.
No, that's what I'm disagreeing with. That I'm saying I think indie companies are the ones that are making actual games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Indie companies are the ones that are making games where you pay a couple of quid for it and it's a proper game. It's big companies that are hiring indie companies to make shit games with microtransactions.
That's what I'm saying.
Money.
So even with a game, so if you're not an established platform and to make money, you've got to make a really good game. But for people to unlock it or for people to further themselves in the game, they've got to pay for certain bits. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
But if you're a company that is massive, that's making millions, and you've just paid a company to make a game where people have to keep paying for essentially nothing, that doesn't make sense to me. I would rather Marvel charge me £3 or £4 on place to actually play an actual Marvel game. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where I can actually explore as the Hulk and I can actually fly as Iron Man. I would rather that. Yeah. Because now I don't feel like this brand is basically betraying me by giving me the exact same bullshit. Yeah. And to be fair, Star Wars and is Marvel Disney now?
They're both Disney now.
Okay, so see, it's Disney. Fuck you. Right?
Disney owns a lot of things.
Yeah, I know.
I think they're in the midst of buying Fox or something as well.
Oh, wow, man.
Something like that. It's something ridiculous I read the other day that was like, no.
That's massive.
Yeah.
They're already massive.
They own really big. They own, like say, Star Wars, Marvel, the Muppets. They own Miramax as well. Yeah. They own a lot of other companies.
Pixar's.
I think ABC. Is ABC Disney? I might be wrong about that, actually.
Yeah. Cool. They don't need to do that. Essentially, like, you can give people good quality things.
They should be... I think part of the problem is that there's this misconception is that that's what app games are. The point of app games is to get it for free and then you pay for it if you like. And I think that's a wrong and a misconception. I don't think that's what people really want. Part of the reason why I don't play that many games on my phone, and part of the reason why a lot of people look down on phone games compared to other games, is because of that attitude and because they're not releasing actual games or attempts at actual games. Yeah. Obviously, you can't do like a 3D fucking massive game on a phone. Nobody's expecting that, but I don't see why they don't fund indie companies to make proper games.
Something phones. With more.
If they made a Spider-Man like platformer, on the phone, that would be fine. I would pay for that. They have, and you what?
It's like you can swing, you can do shit. It's good. Like that's what I'm trying to say. They've made good games.
But you were saying it's like a 3D game, weren't you? No, I'm saying like they should make these big companies should pay for simpler versions of games that are just genuinely good, like and not the cash-ins like the one I was talking about.
They could bring back some Game Boy games and put them on the App Store like that.
Well, I think Nintendo are doing that, aren't they?
That makes sense. You can do that, and to the point where phones are advanced enough to do that.
Pokemon's the perfect game to have on your phone.
It is. Yeah. It is so like, and to be fair, I can't lie. I haven't cracked this phone. You can just get emulators. You can get really good emulators on Android.
Yeah. They've kind of, that's what I was going to say. Nintendo have cut down on the emulators. They've been like hunting them out. You can't really get many Nintendo emulating things now.
Cool. Well, I mean, if Nintendo bring it out as an actual platform, I'll be more than happy to jump on that.
That's why they did it. They said it was because they're going to start releasing stuff.
More than happy to jump on that because those were really good games.
But they should still let you do patches. They should take the Bethesda route and say you're allowed to use mods, but you've got to pay for the base game.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool.
I agree with that. I think Bethesda have got the right attitude. So with Fallout, they've made it so that you can use mods on consoles with Fallout 4, not just on PC. You don't have to go out of your way to do it. You just can go onto a list and download mods, and they're just we've approved these mods. We know they're not going to completely fuck up your game. But maybe if you do the wrong ones, you need to still look into it, obviously. It could fuck you up. And they've started doing a thing now that people don't like. They've started a thing called Creators Club, where they've started working with some of the modders, and you pay to get stuff. So people are unhappy about paying for it, but I entirely understand why you're paying for it. So that the modders get paid as well. Exactly. People need to get paid. But it's a much better attitude to just be like, we're okay. We know people are going to do this anyway. Let's make it so that you can support doing it, and it will be good. I think Rockstar is one of the companies that should do that as well. They should allow mods.
Yeah, I think they've well, I mean, with what's happened with the GTAs, I'm surprised they haven't actually embraced it as much. Like, GTA is probably one of the most modded games out there right now. I thought I don't know why, but I thought like GTA put something out on Play Store.
Oh, on phones?
Yeah.
Well, the only GTA thing I've ever had on my phone was a thing that connected to GTA 5. It was called iFree.
No, yeah, you can get San Andreas on your phone.
Oh, you can straight up just get San Andreas?
Yeah, £5 get San Andreas. See, this is what I mean.
That's
what I'm talking about.
That's just
like,
a proper game.
Like you can actually put these quality of games
it's always
in there.
like retro stuff that goes on there. I don't think people make newer stuff for phones that often.
Yeah.
With the intent of it being an actual decent game.
You
know what I mean?
FIFA.
Yeah.
They've. I mean,
I bet that's not going to play the same though, is it?
It wasn't essentially as good.
That's just going to be tapping. But that's the other way as well, because I don't agree with that. Because even on consoles, FIFA's got like pay to win stuff essentially. Yeah. They're doing this gambling thing that a lot of people are complaining about at the moment with loot boxes. I know FIFA's one of the games that does that, where you get like cards for players and stuff like that. It's the same thing where people are complaining in Overwatch, where you just pay to get these. It's essentially gambling, and they're putting it into console games and stuff like that, and acting like it's different. So I don't play fucking FIFA, but I've seen other people play it. So if you buy it, you use actual money to buy points for your account if you've got an Xbox, or just put money straight onto your account if you're on PlayStation. Yeah. And you buy packs of cards, and they're like football cards, like you'd actually get for different players, and then you can put them into your team based on which cards you've got. Yeah. So you can make a team with the people that you unlock, but you've got to pay for it.
Oh, so you can literally just buy an amazing team.
So if you had shitloads of money and you kept spending money, then you could eventually get like the perfect team that you want.
Yeah.
Because you pay for all this stuff. In Overwatch, you can pay for loot boxes, and it gets you different skins and tags and voice samples and stuff like that. Yeah. And I get it as a concept of it being, you can get the thing you want, but you're not getting the thing you want. Because it is gambling. It is, you're paying money for it, and you might not get anything like what you want.
So these are random boxes.
Randomised.
Okay, then
it's the same thing with cards. You're not buying
the actual player.
Yeah, exactly.
You
buy a pack of cards. And you might get the player, and you might get nothing. This is a thing that started because of app games. Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. This is a pay to win, like
it's so jokes, because all of these games,
and now it's happening on consoles.
All of these games have that same thing. Yeah. All of these games, literally, you can't. But the thing is, so Mortal Kombat,
it's either pay to not have to wait and play now, or pay to get this upgrade that will make the game easier.
Crazy.
All of the games I've talked about, I think.
Well, I mean, all of this stuff.
All the ones I have on my phone, like the South Park ones, the Futurama ones, and the Adventure Time one. Yeah. In the South Park one, you can buy to straight up get the cards that you want. Yeah, you can also buy to get a mystery pack. Yeah. And you might get good cards, but you might not.
That's Mortal Kombat does the same thing. Yeah. And that one. I think all of them actually, the ones I've listed. Yeah. But I feel like all of that started with games like World of Warcraft, where you're paying to upgrade your characters.
Yeah, but I think you just pay to get stuff in that. I never got into World of Warcraft. I don't think there was that element of mystery. There might well have been. I might be wrong.
I think
you just pay to get a thing.
Yeah.
I think it was just like, you want that tiger, you pay for that tiger. That's fine. I'm happy with that. Like, I understand pay to win to some degree of like paying to get like DLC things, paying to get extra shit, that's fine, but it's the mystery side of it I don't agree with. I don't think you should pay to
for a random
maybe get the thing that you want, but probably not. Yeah. It's like, I don't like blind boxes with like vinyl toys and stuff like that.
Blind boxes?
Where they do like a range of 12 different designs. You buy a box that you're not allowed to open, and you might get the one that you want. You've got to try and collect the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, just let me buy the one that I want. Otherwise, I'm not going to buy your shit. Yeah. I'm not going to dick around. I don't want the whole set. I want the couple of characters that I really enjoy. And I'm not going to pay £5 for your 1-inch tall vinyl toys to try and get the ones that I want. I'm not going to invest money in that, you bastards.
Fuck them, because you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
They did it with Portal as well. They did it with the turrets from Portal. Yeah. They did like different patterns on it. I just want the white turret. I want the one that's in the actual game. I'm not going to pay £5 a turn to maybe get that one. Fuck you. Wasting my fucking time.
See, I wasn't the one ranting there.
That annoys me.
That's a rant.
That's
I'm just saying. That's a rant. I'm just saying. these games can be better.
Yeah.
They've got the financial backing to be better. They've got the platform.
If they cut out the shit that I'm moaning about,
yeah,
I think they would be doing that. If they weren't trying to find a system where they can charge you for things, I think they would just make an actual game.
Rather than exactly.
If they cut out microtransactions, they would just make a game.
Because essentially the focus on this isn't the game.
Yeah.
Because all the game is tapping. That's all the game is.
It's putting it out for free so that you get invested in it.
Yeah.
Then charging you for something.
Yeah.
Would you play like Jungle Run? Not Jungle Run. That's a TV show. What was it called? Temple Run.
Temple Run.
Would you, if they said right, Temple Run is £5, all you do is you just flick side to side and you jump sometimes. No one would pay £5 for that. It's because it's free. Then you start playing it, and then you want to beat it. So then you pay for microtransactions.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
So they make these games that are flawed on purpose, so that you can pay to play the proper game. And I think that's what you're talking about with that stuff.
It is essentially. I also want them to just be better phones. Better phones, better games. Yeah. I just want them to have more to them.
I think they would do that.
If they didn't have
microtransactions hadn't been a thing that caught on, and they weren't putting games down for free, they'd make proper games. Because if they were charging people for it, they'd know that they'd have to make proper games, because you wouldn't be willing to pay if it wasn't a decent looking game. The actual good games would win. Yeah, if that makes sense. Yeah, the top of the pile would always be the games that are good, because those are the ones that people are willing to pay for. Yeah. Whereas you make a load of free games, and they're going to get downloaded anyway because they're free.
Cool. That's a very fair point. And I think what I've learned from that is stop paying for games. It's actually,
if you want anything to be good, you pay for it.
Yeah, man.
Fuck. If you want clothes that weren't made by children who were getting paid 10p an hour.
No, that's a lie.
Pay money for them.
That's a lie. Because
don't buy cheap clothes. Because those kids don't get paid.
A lot of
that's the lie.
A lot of big brands use these, and they overcharge us anyway.
That is also true. Yeah. But I mean, don't expect to pay like Primark prices and not have it be made by some underpaid slave children. Hey, and the same goes for games.
Yes, it's just programmers in a dungeon somewhere.
Don't expect it to not be made by a team of people who are being paid to make some bullshit that they're going to put out for free. And expect it to be a good game. Yeah. That's very rare that's going to happen and it not become like a pay war.
Yeah, but I do think they have put out good games.
That South Park game is free and there's microtransactions was really fun last week. And it came out last week. Okay. It's literally been probably about a week, maybe less than that.
Go.
And it's not as fun anymore.
Yeah.
Because so many people are paying for it that they've got things that I can't possibly beat. So it's ruined the game for me. If I'm never going to win, what's the point of me playing?
Yeah.
Whereas if I'd paid £5 for the game in the first place, and I probably would have, because the South Park games are really good, and then it'd been an actual game, I would have been happier. This is the problem. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, it is
your topic and your point.
Because it does annoy me. It does annoy me, and the whole thing is, it's just that they can put on actual games. They can make these things better, and like. They choose not to make money.
Yeah.
And it's a shame as well, because it's like they're not gonna just put out a shitty film and say, oh, pay extra to fucking 100%. You know what I mean? Like pay extra to watch the good scenes. Like,
no one's making like shitty short films on purpose because it's free and they can charge you to watch the ending.
Exactly. Like,
so
why are they
people make short films and put all of their fucking effort into it to try and make a full film and charge you for the full version of it.
Yeah.
The way that film works is the way that console games work a lot of the time, and how they definitely used to work, where you make a demo or you make a good trailer, and you get people invested with that, then you pay for the full thing.
Yeah.
That's why you make a short film, and then maybe you get to make a full film where you get to charge people for that. There's no you're paying for the ending of this film.
You know what I mean?
Everyone would be like,
did you like that intro?
Because that's not what they're expecting, whereas they expect it with games, so it's become accepted.
At what point did they become... maybe there was something I missed with
the games you're talking about. It's Candy Crush and Angry Birds.
But
you pay for that, and then you pay for extra shit.
You do, but I enjoy them on a simple basis.
Exactly. But that's because there's no complication of playing with other people or having to wait forever. I know you have to wait, don't you? You have to wait for
Candy Crush a bit.
You pay to speed up the game.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of it used to work, was it's either you wait or you pay and you can play now, which I think is the most ridiculous thing in the first place.
Do you know what?
But it's because of that being successful, and that made money off of that because people didn't want to wait. That's how it's become this. Yeah. It's the evolution of paying for some little thing.
So here I am putting these fuckers on a pedestal, and it's their
especially when you say Candy Crush. Because like Candy Crush, for a start, is just Bejeweled. Secondly, I told you this story before. Candy Crush is based on a game that's one bloke made as an indie game, as a tribute to his mum who was dying or had died. And it was a game where you just matched up Candy because she used to play Bejeweled and stuff like that. So he made a game for her. That company ripped him off, made their own game. That man got no fucking money, and they've made shitloads out of it. So fuck King, and fuck all of their clones of the same fucking game. Fuck Candy Crush, fuck Soda Crush or whatever the other shit ones are, and all that bollocks, and every game they've ever made, and the people that own the company.
I agree with you.
Because they started this, and that's the shittiest thing I've ever heard in
That's a shitty thing to do. Candy Crush is still a good game.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And it probably was when the other guy made it as well. The guy who got no fucking money for the effort he put into it.
They've got so many elements to it. Right? Okay, I mean, forget the inception and how they came about. But the game itself, right, as simple as it is, and without having to pay for anything, it's got so many elements and so many
simple puzzle games are always the best at
games. It is. It's a very simple puzzle game.
Even if they're trying to pay to get you to pay to speed it up, you can just wait.
You can't,
because there's word games and stuff like that, or like riddles and
shit, man. I got Sudoku on there.
I fucking love Sudoku.
I fucking love Sudoku, man. That's like my go-to.
Those are the kind of things that work because they're simple. They're games that aren't original. So you understand them, which is kind of a problem because they don't really own it.
Yeah.
But is the kind of thing that's easy to play, like Words with Friends caught on. That is Scrabble. They just ripped off Scrabble. Yeah. So it's a thing that you understood, was easy to do, and is a thing that you can play by just tapping without it seeming shit. The problem with the games you're talking about is they try and make it look like a console game that needs a controller and you cannot play it by tapping. And that's the problem. That's why I'm saying they need to make simple games. Something like Sonic the Hedgehog, where it's like a Game Boy game where you've got directions A and B. That's it. Simple game.
Even if they have arrows on there are games on that Play Store that have arrows and little buttons. And that platform. That's
the kind of thing that would make more sense. That's what I was saying. That if they made a Spider-Man game that was like that, it was just A and B and just directions, that would make everything so much easier. And I think it would be more worth paying. Simple platformers and stuff like that are better. Even Nintendo's doing it wrong though, which it makes me laugh. That Mario game that they brought out is called like Mario Jump or Dash or something, which is a rip-off of the Rayman game that Ubisoft made, where Mario runs and you flick the screen to make him jump over a thing, or to vault, and you've got to try and make a vault, and he just runs automatically. Why are they not just putting Mario on the fucking phone? It uses 6 buttons.
Yeah.
Why use actual Mario?
Why just put Mario Kart? Mario Kart's
exactly. That's easy as well.
Yeah.
Why not just use the actual games? Because they want you to buy their consoles and pay for their old games on that instead.
Wow.
But other games companies should be doing that. It's like, it makes no sense to not only put the old games onto phones, like we've talked about, make new games that are that simple and put them on a phone. Look at fucking Sonic Mania. The game that somebody made that started off as like an indie project and then Sega backed it. Yeah. That is like it's like old Sonic, but it's a new one and it's really good. And it's about 15 quid to play it on the Switch, and it's on PlayStation and stuff like that. But you could put something like that on a phone and people would play it. Like, you'd pay 15 quid to be able to play it on your phone and take it with you.
Did you ever play Pokemon?
If it was a genuinely good game. No, I didn't, because I didn't want to have to leave the house to play Pokemon. I'd rather just play Pokemon on my DS.
That was probably the best response I've ever heard today.
That's just dumb. Why am I going to go and catch a Pidgey and not play the actual game of Pokemon? Just because it's got Pokemon in it. It's not fucking Pokemon, is it?
Yeah, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan.
That's just dumb. Why wouldn't you just stay at home and play actual Pokemon where there's a story and stuff to do?
Yeah.
And you can raise actually good Pokemon rather than going, oh look, I went to Trafalgar Square and there was a Pidgey and a Rattata.
Yeah, I think
boring.
the concept of it was interesting because obviously it puts you as the character.
Yeah.
You are the trainer, you know, so it puts you in the center.
I agree, it was an interesting concept.
Yeah.
But it was not an interesting game.
It was a pretty boring game. But you didn't have to pay for anything.
Yeah.
To my knowledge.
There probably was some.
Yeah, but maybe at the end,
better,
when I first started playing it, there wasn't much of a pay to whatever element to it. Which was cool.
I think because you had the egg system, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think you paid for that to hatch things faster.
Yeah,
that's what you had to pay for.
Yeah. You could pay for incubators. Okay, fair enough.
Play actual Pokemon. Do you know what you have to do in actual Pokemon to hatch an egg?
Walk. Yeah,
you just walk.
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that?
They did
because they want you to pay for it.
They did.
Yeah, they did, but they want you to pay for it to speed it up.
Yeah,
so it works as a pedometer, and as you walk around, it unlocks eventually.
Yeah.
But they want you to pay, so you don't have to wait.
There
Just
you go.
make it a game that you pay for,
and
that you don't have to continuously pay for, and it's good.
Cool. Well, lesson learned from this is stop paying for games. That's kind of what has...
Stop playing games on your phone because people are trying to rip you off.
Yeah. Or play chess.
Buy a Nintendo 3DS.
Oh, yeah.
Buy a Nintendo 3DS. I know it's going to cost more, but play Mario, you can play Kirby, you can play Pokemon, and then fuck all this nonsense off.
Buy a PSP.
Or buy a Switch.
Or PSP.
PSP. I don't know. There's not as many good games on PSP.
I don't know PSP.
I prefer the DS over the Vita, I think.
Yeah. Cool.
I've got both.
I haven't played
but I didn't play that many things on Vita, and then I bought a DS and I played quite a lot. So
yeah. I think Nintendo has more fun games.
Yeah, Nintendo is...
It's like, it's more like happy fun games, whereas PS can be
most of the stuff I played on
serious.
my PS Vita, much like the phone stuff, was old versions of games. Ignore the sirens, I just lit something on fire. It's just old games that they put on there, like they put the Sly Cooper games on there and Crash Bandicoot and stuff like that. That's most of what I played on the PS Vita.
Yeah, old school games.
So it was like having a phone.
Yeah, fair enough.
We need to wrap up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, good points. Learn from parodies. If you're going to do parodies, look into things and learn about it before you do it. Don't just rush into it. And that's not just for parodies. That's films in general. You need to you need to understand the film before you're writing films.
Yeah.
You can't do something if you've never seen films before, or if you only watch popcorn films. You're never going to get a popcorn film off the ground.
Good popcorn films.
Unless you're Michael Bay. No, definitely. There are great. There are some really good popcorn films, but that's because they're well-made films as well as.
Yeah.
Popcorn films can be shit garbage films like Transformers, but can also be great films. We've talked about this already. And if you're going to make games, make an actual game.
Make an actual fucking game.
Don't make an interface that you tap on and pretend it's a game.
Yeah. Make an actual game. Literally. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Have you got any shout-outs?
Shout-outs?
Yes, preferably relative ones.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think, relative to what it is.
If not, it doesn't matter. I don't think either of mine are relative.
Yeah.
Well, one of mine's relative. I've got two things I want to shout out that are relative, and one that's not. If you'll allow me to do three quickly.
Wow, you go for it.
So, I've talked about South Park Game on the phone, which is actually alright, but the South Park console games are amazing, and if you've ever played The Stick of Truth or The Fractured But Whole, they are 100% worth getting.
Fractured But Whole's a great name.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to talk about them on an episode at some point. Cool. The other one was, we talked about Spider-Man games on the phone. If anyone hasn't seen the trailer for the new Spider-Man game that Insomniac's made that's coming out sometime next year, it's amazing looking. It looks like they've clearly been influenced by the Rocksteady Batman games, and they're trying to do something similar.
Cool.
It looks perfect. It looks exactly what I want a Spider-Man game to be.
Sick.
So watch the trailers for that if you've not seen it.
Yeah.
And the third thing that's not related to anything is the second season of a show called Lady Dynamite came out that's on Netflix. That's really good.
Lady Dynamite.
Lady Dynamite is Maria Bamford's the main character in it. It's written by a couple of really good people, including Pam Brady, who works on South Park. Definitely watch that. I haven't actually watched it yet. I've just finished watching F is for Family, which is good as well.
Oh, I see that.
But yeah, look out for that as well. That was good. Watch the second season of that as well. But the second season of Lady Dynamite, I'm going to start watching, and it's going to be. I can only assume it's going to be as good as the first season because the first season was amazing. You got any shout outs? Did you think of anything while I said that?
Yeah, I mean, just if we're talking of things people should watch, Ozark.
Yes, Ozark's really good.
Fucking amazing,
Yeah.
man. I just finished it, and yeah, I want to talk about that at some point.
I need to
People
finish that, but it's really good.
should watch that.
Yeah.
And
I'm loving this spate of like really well thought out dramas that have happened because of Breaking Bad. I think is why they've happened.
Yeah,
but
man.
Ozark, Tin Star's really good. It's on at the
Tin
moment
Stars.
as well. Yeah, the one with Tim Roth in it.
Okay, cool.
There are some others, but people are writing like genuine good dramas for TV now.
Really good,
like
crime dramas,
stuff that
dude,
people would say are film level, but you should be doing for TV as well.
100%,
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, definitely. Ozark's really
Cool.
good. Jason
Yeah.
Bateman's fantastic.
Amazing, isn't it?
And he wrote it as well. I think.
Did he?
I think he wrote it. He directs it.
Okay,
I know
cool,
he directs
yeah.
it. I think if he didn't write it, he's like a producer on it that has always
He's
been
probably
involved.
a producer.
I think he's been
there's
involved
two
in it
writers
from
in
quite early on.
Yeah, there's two writers
Yeah.
that work together. David.
Oh yeah. But I think he like was an early investor in it.
Yeah.
That's why he's in it and directs it.
Cool.
Because
It's
I
really
think
good
he
to see him
picked
in it
up.
as well.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk
He's
about
really-
it too much,
he's really
but
good at it.
his presence
It's
in
really
it
well done.
is you know what? Yeah. But anyway,
Definitely
people
worth
should watch it.
We'll
Yeah,
talk
people
about
watch
it at some point. I need to finish the series before we talk about it though. Let me finish it. I've only got a couple of episodes left,
Sure.
I think.
I'll finish it.
So if you want to hear more from SG, you can go on soundcloud.com/Mr. Soul, spelled MRSOLS. You can also go on Mr. Soul, spelled the same way, .bandcamp.com. If you want more from me, you can go on YouTube and search Renegade Pineapple. We're playing Mario Odyssey at the moment, which is fucking amazing, by the way. I'm sure everyone knows this already. Turns out the new Mario is pretty good. But yeah, that's been really fun. And if you want to hear more from the podcast, we're on iTunes, SoundCloud and YouTube. You can comment about what we've been talking about or just in general on some of those. You can also email us at awonderfulwasteofemail@gmail.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Just look for AWWOT or AWWOT podcast, or on Instagram, it's A Wonderful Waste of Time. That's it for this episode. Next time we'll be doing a top 5 where we make a list of something and basically rank why things are good.
Sick.
That's it for this episode. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Goodbye.
It's a wonderful waste of time.